Hi guys, and welcome back to the Coaching Observer. Today's video I'll be covering Fiji against Australia, which is happening this Sunday. I can't wait. After watching Wales and Fiji, oh my word, I'm really rooting for Fiji to take on Australia. However, Australia is looking good with one of the youngest squads, and the way they beat Georgia was pretty convincing. It's going to be the clash of the Titans and a Pacific clash at that. I'll be covering what type of strategies they can be following on attack as well as on defense, some of the key positions we need to be looking at, and then I'll obviously give my prediction and we'll see what happens. Let's dive in. First up, let's talk about the Fijian attack, right? Fiji is extremely physical, explosive, and their offload game is always on point. We've seen the Fijian Sevens. I mean, this is a copy paste on the way they play. So, how are they going to attack? I feel that their strongest suit of attack is through the center. We know that the 12 and 13 are some of the strongest, most powerful centers at the moment. And if anything happened like what happened against Wales, the way that they play off of each other is just brilliant. They scored 2 quick tries, just the center pairing, within 2 or 3 minutes of each other. Now, they understand each other, they know what they want to do, and they know how to run off of each other. This is massive. I think the support line running that Fiji does in general of any certain player, they are just always there in support. They're always looking for the round offloads and they generally get them quite a while. It's quite difficult to defend against. I think that if you are going for the man and not the ball, the offloads are always happening. And this is really the Fijian style of attack that we've come to love. It's extremely entertaining. It's extremely hard to defend against. And I mean, let's be honest, they do it so well. So I think that other than just their center running and the way they want to attack, we've seen the way they're set up. They're set up not quite on a 1-3-3-1, but the pods are always set up in the center field. And what do? Huge runners coming forward, whether it's their tight five, where it's their loosies, they set up a few pods and then they play off the pods into an edge and they pretty much just go edge to edge. What that means is they'll start on wherever they want to start, let's say if it's center or far to the left, and they'll keep playing the same side until they reach a certain tram line, which is the 5 or the 15, and then they'll bring it back again. They rarely go back into that blind space to get it to the wing. They prefer to attack on wide open space, especially where they can have a bit of freedom and show how they want to use their offloads, and especially those short line runs, how they want to run at certain guys. I think they do this to be able to try and get a few mismatches. What is a mismatch? Well, a mismatch is generally going to be a forward against a backline player or vice versa. Both have got their strengths and their weaknesses. The way Fiji wants to attack, especially when they start heading towards that tram line, is to create certain chances or certain instances where they can have their 13 or 14 against a bit of a slower 1 through to 5. So between your tight 5, they'll generally get around them within their pace, or they can use their offload game to their advantage and try beat these big boys and then obviously break a line, support line, run and score the try from there. The other thing we've seen is short, hard 45 angles from centers, breaking into space and then creating a bit of interplay between players. Randrandra did it over the weekend. Number 13 did it over the weekend as well. Their short lines are coming hard and fast, right? And what I mean with the 45-degree angle is they are generally coming at an angle back into the defensive line. So not the same way the ball is traveling. They are coming against the grain of the ball. And what's generally difficult is they're running onto a weaker shoulder of the defense. So as soon as they burst through that tackle, the first thing that you'll see is the 9 or their pairings of their center or whatever position there is, and they'll just send off an easy offload. Now suddenly it's broken play, and that's what Fiji loves. Let's look at the Australian attack. So the Australian attack is a bit different. I won't say it's as tight as traditional teams such as Ireland or South Africa. I think it's a bit more loose, and they are quite experimenting. Eddie Jones has put on some of the youngest players that we've seen, and he's creating them, or he's molding them to really become good players in their positions. It's taking a lot of patience. So the way they are currently attacking, and the most effective, is they are able to get the ball with a kick or a stab through towards their wings. Their wings have been phenomenal in the air. Are Fijian wings quite the same? I don't think so. I think Wales, the way they played the aerial game against Fiji, really stacked up against Fiji. I think this is a huge weakness for them, is the aerial game. Now, Fiji enjoys contact, and they enjoy running at a man, and they enjoy interplaying, but when it comes to the air play, I think that this is Australia's strong point, and they're going to use it. So expect a lot of high balls, contestables from Australia, to retain or just create pressure. And then scrum time, are they going to be able to set the scrum? Now, Fiji isn't renowned for their scrum. However, scrum has been showing a bit of waver, right? So are they able to really, within these set pieces, hold their own against more formidable teams when it comes to set pieces? I think Australia is also really brilliant at cross-kicking. We've seen some really good tries from them, some open play tries. Especially as soon as they get the advantage, they utilize that very quickly. They enjoy a bit stab kicks. They really test and are quite diverse when doing this. Are they as direct as Fiji? I don't feel so, but they have the manpower to do it. I mean, on the Australian team, they have islanders themselves, and we've seen them run extremely hard lines. Just this past weekend, we saw them shift Betty from wing through to center. Why? Strong, powerful runner. I think they might start him on center this weekend just for his huge physical strength and attributes that he brings. And we've seen him tackle, right? So this is a strong element they'll bring in. Maybe a few short lines, definitely some support line runners off of him. So yeah, big attack differences. I think I like what I'm going to see. Is Australian defense going to be able to really withstand that very physical game that Fiji likes bringing? Is Fiji going to be able to defend against the high ball of Australia? These are going to be the big telltales of the game, and I look forward to seeing that. The next thing I want to chat about is defense. So Fiji, although they're heavy, right, and although they are quite quick within the backline, I felt that something that lacks within their structure is how quick they set their defensive line. Now, Wales traditionally aren't the best of, quick hands in the way they want to attack. They attack quite slow, steady, and a patient type of game, forcing penalties, and that's really what we saw. Now, something that really is a bit of a concern for the Fijian defensive line is how quick is their defense ready to set. And once they've set, there's almost no line speed. They invite players to come in so they can really get that hard hit, and then they don't really contest the rucks the way they need to. So on Fijian defense, I think there's a lot that they need to work on. I'd really also like to see them contest a few of the rucks. I feel that it's worth it. If it's in your 22 and you're under the pump, if you get the turnover ball, kills momentum. Same for if you're wanting to create pressure in your position 22 and they don't want to relieve pressure just from an easy kick, set your head into that ruck, try and get that ball, just even slow it down a bit more. So I think those are things that Fiji can really work on defense. Something I've also realized is the Fijian winger, number 14. His first time tackling isn't on point. And I'm really worried that the Australian wings, who are quite strong, even if it's Betty or if it's the one youngster, he's going to get through him, because I didn't see any good first-time tackling from him. He needs support on that line, and he just doesn't know when he must come up or just hold back on his string. So that's quite a weak element over there. I think it's something that Australia can really look at and really try exploit, and I look forward to that. Let's look at the Australian defense. Now, Australian defense set well. Closed down line space quite well, and first time tackling is there. Something else they enjoy doing is contesting the rucks. However, short lines, I'm not too sure that their new young number 10 is able to handle the short lines that 12 and 13 of Fiji are going to bring at them. I feel that they really need to close down space and make sure that they hit their first time tackles. Are they able to keep up a high intense defensive line every single time? And if so, remember, Fiji will play that offload game. Are they going to have a second line of defense? So something I want to see that Australia is going to bring into the game is not only have one set line of defense. I want them to make sure they have one or two marshals just with behind that back line, just to make sure in case there's a break, in case there's a bit of an offload, that they're going to be there and make sure they make that hit. So generally what I do, and I think I've mentioned this before, is I'll have my 9 and my 8 tracking just behind the back line in case for that line break, especially guys who want the line break and then play continuously off the line break. All right, so I want to see, is Australia going to bring something like this, a little bit different to what they do with Georgia? They completely destroyed Georgia on defense. They closed them down. Georgia lost a lot of ball. They were always on the back foot. They couldn't just get back into it. So let's see, is that the type of thing that Australia wants to do? I definitely don't think Australia is going to sit on the defensive line and invite these huge physical players to run at them. Something I also want to see with regards to the Australian defense is how many turnovers can they create? So like I just mentioned, Fiji isn't quite taking care at ruck time, and it's a free space that if you have real good fetches, which I do feel Australia has, although Hooper's not there and neither is David Pocock anymore, I feel that they still have very strong fetches in there and that who can can get that ball at ruck time. That's quite a weakness again for Fiji, and I hope that the Australian defense can completely monopolize on that. In addition to the secondary line of defense against Fiji, something I want to see Australia has to do, other than the secondary line of defense that I'm recommending for Australia, something that they have to do is focus on the ball tackle and not just go for the man every time. Yes, Fiji runs extremely hard and you need to make your hit on the man. But if you don't focus or at least try and attempt to go for the ball, the offload is going to happen. You do need a double hit, one focusing on the body, one focusing on the ball, and they should really try and target certain players that they want to do that with. The next thing I want to talk to you guys about is that of the key positions. So for this clash, I feel that the center pairings are really going to be a key focal point for both of these teams. On Fiji, we have some massive heavy hitters, right? I mean, Semi Radradra, one of the guys that Fiji goes to, especially for getting the go forward ball. And we've seen his offload skills. Who's running off of him? None other than the captain, Naseyalevu. I mean, if you guys saw his tries coming in as well as his speed and I mean just his pure physique, I think he is phenomenal. Now on the side of Australia, we also have a heavy hitter, right? I mean, Karevi, we've all seen him, how he tackles, how hard he runs those short lines, okay? And running off of him is Jordan Pataya. I mean, Pataya has also solid ball handling skills and he always gets his wings into space. I think both of these teams have got great options at centers and they really play to their strengths, whether it's hitting hard lines, whether it's getting the offloads, or just making sure that they are attracting enough defenders to get the other guys into space. Now, who do I think is going to win this battle? For me, it's all about defensively because we know who's going to run at who. It's just how well can they defend that without dragging in someone else to be able to assist them, and how well can they get over that gain line. So in my opinion on this, I think Fiji's going to take it. I think the offload abilities as well as the hard line running abilities is definitely going to come into fruition for them. I think something that's a bit weak for me is the Australian 10. I know he's young, I know he's there, but on defense, when Radradra is running at you, I'm not too sure if he's going to be able to make those hits that he needs to, especially if the 8 is coming on the inside channel. I mean, Tuvisoa, have you seen that guy's cards? If he's running on that inside line and Radradra is coming at you, you've got to make a choice. I've got a feeling it's going to be a tough day in the office for that 10. The next position I want to look at is that of number 9. So Australia, although they didn't start Nick White against Georgia, I definitely think Nick White will come to start up and McDermott is probably going to go on the bench. Guys, Nick White, as much as we hate that moustache, is such a tactician. I feel that he's good with his boot. He knows how to play that little grey area to create penalties, right? And he distributes exactly when he needs to. He's also a really good support line runner, which are all good boxes in my number 9. Now, on the other side, for Fiji, I don't know if you guys have seen, right? But he's really come up within the Fijian Drua sides as well. He's definitely vibrant. I mean, he's got a freaking mullet that is shy for nothing. And Laumani is one of these guys that really give energy to the team. I really enjoy him. His kicking isn't as accurate as some of the formidable 9s, right? However, he brings this X factor that, you know, if you're not awake around the rucks, if you're not awake generally in play at penalties or something, he's going to make something happen, and he often does. I really just enjoy watching him compared to other 9s at the moment, and I'm sure that this is going to be quite a battle. Things that we can really look out for with regards to these two 9s is how different they play. I mean, Nick White, he's not quite someone who's going to bring that energy and bring that, you know, that pump for the Australian team. That's where they really look towards their 10 and towards their wings. Their wings always give them go forward ball, very good in the air. That's going to be a good battle as well. It's not something I'm showcasing right now, but I'm sure we'll see a lot of it. I want to see, what is Nick White going to do? How well is he going to, really abuse the Fijian forwards? I think he's going to create a lot of penalty opportunities. He's very good at that. And then Laumani, I got a feeling he's going to catch some of the Australian guys really off guard. He's going to gain that extra 10 meters. And if they don't watch out, he's going to do something slippery and kind of maybe even score a try by sniping around the corners. So yeah, that's definitely my key positions I want us to look at. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really going to enjoy it. I'm sure that the 9s will probably get more than 60 minutes. And at the centers, we've also seen that, these are the key roles for Fiji. On Australia's side, Corambetti even came onto centre from the wing, so they really enjoy using these heavy hitters. It's pretty much, a huge wrecking ball motion within the centre field for Sunday, and I look forward on who's going to win that battle. So my prediction for Sunday, I'll be a bit biased. I think the favourites are Australia. I think they're going to start gaining some really good momentum, but I'd really like to see Fiji take it to them and really try get that win. They're very unlucky against Wales. I think they could have finished if they were just a bit more polished, but they couldn't. And I think if Australia slip up, and especially this young team, Fiji is going to capitalize against it. They're also extremely used to each other's brand of rugby. If we look at the Super Rugby Pacifica, these players are playing each other a lot. So they know what they bring, they know their X factors, they know their weaknesses, and I think they're going to exploit it. I just hope that the discipline of Fiji doesn't cost against them. Against Wales, a few soft penalties really allowing Wales and Dan Biggar to get those extra threes. They cannot afford that against Australia. So if Fiji have really good discipline, right, and they are physical as they always are, and they just feed off of each other, especially in that last 10 minutes that we saw against Wales, I think they'll take this one against Australia. Margin, guys, I think it's a high scoring game. I think that both sides have got their weaknesses on defense and obviously strength on attack, and I think it's going to be a high scoring game. I'd say that we're seeing more than 60 points, maybe even more than 70 points this game. Going for poles isn't going to be such a big thing. I don't think it's going to be that slow-paced penalty game. I think we're going to see, quick taps, definitely a lot of mauls coming up. I'm predicting, let's say, a 43-35 in favor of Fiji. I hope it's going to be entertaining. I hope everyone enjoys it. I'm definitely looking forward. So that's a wrap from me, guys. Thanks so much for watching the video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I can't wait for this weekend's rugby starting on Thursday. And then New Zealand, Namibia, obviously Namibia close to my heart. I hope they can give them a go, but I got a bad feeling. I think there'll be some massive score lines again if we look at South Africa, Romania, and there'll be a few close ones. I think I'm really rooting for Tonga as well on Saturday. I look forward to what they bring. I look forward to all the games. I hope everyone enjoyed it. And please, guys, don't forget to comment in the section if you have any questions, if you want to see any specific content. I'm more than willing, more than open. Thanks so much for joining us at the Coaching Observer. Cheers, guys.